I sat down with a very, very good client of mine. He's done exceptionally well. He's getting to the point of in his life that he's starting to think about retiring and about doing all those things that he's wanted to do and what retirement has meant for him. And of course, he needs money to do these things. We have an amount of cash in our savings account, and of course, we really hate to spend that cash out of our savings account. We can, but we've been geared not to do that. So most of the time, what we like to do is spend the income that our investments are earning for us. And of course, he's done exceptionally well in the stock market, but hasn't earned much income. He's not earning much income out of the stock market. So which led to the next step in the fact that the stock market runs about a 7.5-year cycle. And we're now 9 years from peak to peak. And we're 9 years in a 7.5-year cycle, which tells me we're getting pretty long in that cycle. And we have some confirming things when you start looking at the fact that the PE ratio has gone up so high. I mean, we're at historical highs. Typically, we're up over 30 for PE, and when you start getting up that lofty, why it tells you again, just kind of confirms that you're getting close to the end. Now, no one's going to say that tomorrow the stock market could crash and go down 20%. We just don't know, but we do know that there are certain signs along the way that say that you are getting close to the end. So I shared that with him, and of course he just doesn't want to do anything. It's inertia. He's doing really, really well, so why should he not? And that's typical. Typically what happens is that you get hurt. Stock market loses 10% of its value in 4 or 5 or 6 days, scares the living daylights out of everybody, and then it bounces back 4 or 5, and you think, whew, God, that was scary. And then what happens is you don't do anything, you don't sell, and then you have it get ground down, and it starts going down, and you're down 25, 30, 35, 40%. That's called a bull trap, and that happens typically at the end of the cycle when the markets finish. They try and trap as many people as they possibly can and cause losses as high as they possibly can. I mean, I'm sure you've heard this. So I shared that with him, and to be prudent, I mean, to have courage. Really, courage in which to make a change is very, very difficult. I mean, you're doing really, really well, so why would you change? Well, sometimes you just need to realize what the end game is. The end game is that we want you to be wealthy and continue to keep your wealth, to maintain your wealth. So let me just share some things with you on the real estate cycles. One of the reasons that I've been banging the table here to get people to kind of take profits off the table. Really, just take your profits, which would be half. At least take some of the money. You take the money that you earned off a risk, and let's reallocate it to something else that's going to earn you more money. So in the real estate business, we have our cycles are long. They run about 18 and a half years. And they've been running about 18 and a half years for 200 years, right back to the birth of our nation. So you can chart these. We have charts, and we have graphs that show this. I mean, this is just sometimes it's 16 years, sometimes it's 19 years, sometimes it's 20, but typically it's running around 18 and a half years. I think you can pretty well say 2009 was the bottom. So I think we have 18 and a half years to bottom to the next one. So the peak probably would have been around 2006 going into 2007. So if we go peak to peak and add 18 and a half years onto 2006, that takes us to, that'd be 2005, 2025, which is what we're looking for. So we are accumulating properties for 2023 and 2024 because we're going to review those, not necessarily sell them all, but we're going to review them. We're not going to do anything. We're accumulating properties for that time frame. Because, if you look at the cycles go up. And when you get to the end of the cycle, just like what's happening in the stock market, when you get towards the end of the cycle, you get a pretty good increase in value, which is just what's happening in the stock market. Just prior to the end is when you get your highest returns. So I'm thinking in the stock market is just a textbook example of the fact that you're getting this run up towards the end. And when you're in the real estate business, that also happens, which happened in 2005, and we tapered into 2006, and then really crashed, started coming down in 2007, and we were done by 2008. and we didn't recover until 2009 to bottom. So it was a slow grind. And of course, we were I've already said this, as we were poster child here in Phoenix for the bubble, because it's the biggest bubble I've ever seen. So we are accumulating properties between now and 2023, 2024, and I'm saying we're going to sell them all. We can review them and take a look. I mean, you look, these are your properties. You can do anything you want with them, but the portfolio for ourselves, our investment horizon is 2023, 2024, where we're going to take a look. In the meantime, you want to go on a cruise, you want to go have coffee under the Eiffel Tower, you want to go down the Rhine River, you want to walk on the Great Wall of China, you want to swim at the Great Barrier Reef. The income that your portfolio generates is spendable for you. You can spend it. That's what this does. That we're building a portfolio that makes income for you. Not only does it make income for you and give you income, it grows your income. Now right now we're looking between 5 and 6%. That's net. That's after everything gets paid. The taxes get paid. The insurance gets paid. The homeowners gets paid. We're talking vacancy factor. We're talking leasing fees. We're talking management fees. We're talking repair bills. Net for you is around 5 to 6%. So if you put $1 million in, you're going to get $50,000 to $60,000 back. This year, last year, had you gotten your $50,000 or $60,000, we raised rents. We raised rents really strong. We have, here in Phoenix, we're getting 222 people a day, every day, Saturday, Sunday, holidays, 4th of July, net coming here, because we're the number one county in America. People are just moving here like mad. So rents keep going up. We're actually not in a bubble. We actually have a shortage of housing because we just don't have enough rentals. So our rents have gone up. So last year, if you're taking your $50,000 or $60,000, you'd be getting $75,000 to $90,000 this year. Yeah, that's right. $75,000 to $90,000 you would have increased by that. And next year we've had a pretty good year. Probably next year we're going to increase too. So you get the $75,000 to $90,000, probably go $85,000 to $100,000. So that's how we grow the rents, and we're going to grow those rents, and you're going to be able to keep that money to spend. You can spend as spendable money until 2023, 2024, in which we review. And if we've had the runoff that I expect things to go, all the other ones have peaked. They've gotten a very, very strong peak right prior to the end. And I'd like to take advantage of that peak. I'd like to pick that up. So we're gonna monitor it. We're gonna review it. But I don't expect it for 2023 or 2024, which means you can sleep well at night. It means that we don't care what happens to the price. Could we have a correction between there? Sure, of course. Could prices of the property go down? Sure, of course. But we're looking at a pretty big peak at the end, and it's only 7 years away. That's what we're looking for. So in the meantime, we just are concerned with what does this generate. I had a client come in yesterday, and she had a farm, and she said, "Well, I inherited this farm from my grandfather." And they take profit off it. They have crops and stuff, and they rent it out. And I said, "Well, what are you going to do with it?" She said, "Well, I'm going to give it to my grandkids." Okay, so the farm's never going to be sold. So the value of that farm is meaningless. Who cares what the price of that is, because it's never going to be sold. What you do, what your concerns are, how much rent are we going to get off that? What's the costs, and how much revenue are we going to get? And that's where we are with our portfolio. So once you buy a property, and once we get it into portfolio and it's leased, you put it with your management company, you don't ever have to meet the tenant. You don't ever have to do any work. You don't ever have to you don't ever have to get a call in the middle of the night, because we've got property managers do that. They'll lease the property, they'll do all the repairs for you, and they're all factored into your net figures, so that we're figuring we're going to put income into your property. So you don't have to do anything. You just get a check each and every month. So we love that. Now, if you've done really, really well in the stock market, I'm telling you that sometimes it takes enormous courage with which to make that change. It takes wisdom to know that something is going to change. It's very, very, very difficult to do that. The very best thing you can do is to sell while you're still high. Why would you want to take a 5 or 10% drop before you make any actions? So And I'm not telling you to take the whole thing off the market. You may want to take just pieces of this come off the market as you go through it. You may say, I want to take 25% off, then 50% off, where you're still participating in some of the marketplace. But you probably have 50% profits. I'm suggesting that you reallocate those profits elsewhere, less risky. I mean, the stock market has done well, but it is at the end of its cycle. You can talk to your advisor about that and ask him what his thoughts are. Virtually, I think they'll tell you that. But we're talking about getting you into direct ownership of real estate that has so little correlation to Wall Street. So if we have a problem on Wall Street, your real estate portfolio is not going to have a problem. So listen, we're here in Scottsdale, Arizona. This is our home office. It's the number one real estate market in the country. We are the number one county. We were over Houston by about 40%, and of course, poor Houston was just beaten up. So I've often said people on the East Coast, you could go to Florida, you could go to Houston. They're very viable marketplaces. I think I'd be avoiding both of those places at this point. So we'd love to help you here. I think that we're the number one market anyway. I think this just makes absolutely terrific sense for you to be here, and we'll help you absolutely positively any way I possibly can. So our number's there. You're welcome to call us. We have staff here. I'm here. We'll help you any way we possibly can. So my very best to you, and God bless you. Bye-bye now.